The Ziraki fleet sliced through the void like a swarm of locusts, their cold, metallic forms gleaming beneath distant stars. Commanders of the Galactic Concord had tracked their movements for cycles, predicting the next wave of devastation. But this time, the swarm's trajectory was unexpected, aimed directly at a small, unremarkable blue planet called Earth. To the conquered, Earth was little more than a curiosity, a fledgling species trapped beneath its primitive atmosphere, unaware of the galactic chaos beyond. They hadn't prepared for humanity's fierce resistance. The first sign of invasion came without warning. Alien vessels dropped through the solar system's outer fringes, their sleek warships casting shadows over the planet's moon. Their goal was swift: seize Earth's orbit, neutralize defenses, and wipe out any potential threat. It was supposed to be a routine conquest, but Earth had something the Ziraki had never anticipated: chaos. On the ground, Major Talia Rios stared at the flickering communication screen in the hastily assembled command center beneath the Rockies. Satellites had detected the fleet too late for a proper defense, but Earth's military had one advantage: unpredictability. "Deploy orbital mines around GEO," she barked, her voice steady despite the tension. "Prepare the debris fields. If they want this planet, they're going to pay." Her orders were met with confused glances. The notion of hurling scrap satellites and derelict spacecraft into a deadly trap felt reckless. But Rios knew better. Against a foe used to precision and protocol, unpredictability was their best weapon. Above Earth's atmosphere, automated drones zipped into formation, some armed with makeshift explosives, others rigged to detonate on contact. A storm of metal and fire awaited the invaders. The Ziraki warships advanced, their hulls shimmering with energy shields. They expected to sweep aside Earth's defenders in hours, perhaps minutes. But as they crossed the debris fields, the swarm was ambushed from all sides. Mines detonated in a thunderous chain reaction, tearing holes through the invaders' formations. Suddenly, invisible laser turrets hidden among orbital debris flared to life, slicing through ships like razors. Drone swarms swarmed in waves, sacrificing themselves in kamikaze attacks that disrupted communications and overwhelmed defense systems. The invaders were stunned. In one of the surviving Ziraki command ships, the lead strategist hissed through, "A communicator. These creatures fight with madness, not discipline. Their tactics are effective," came the sharp reply. "We cannot underestimate them." Back on Earth, Major Rios watched the holographic battle map. Red icons flickered erratically as the swarm broke formation, retreating chaotically. "They're pulling back," she said, a grim smile crossing her face. "Good. Let them go. We'll be ready when they come again." The victory was Pyrrhic. The Ziraki had suffered heavy losses but had demonstrated a brutal efficiency in retreat already, adapting to Earth's tricks. More worrying was the news from the Galactic Concord. The swarm had sent a warning broadcast. "Humans are no longer irrelevant," the message declared. "They are a threat to be contained. The galaxy will not forget." In the aftermath, Earth's leaders convened in shadowed chambers. The arrival of the Ziraki had shattered their isolation. They faced a grim choice: remain defenseless or join a war they barely understood. At the Galactic Concord's flagship, an alien diplomat named Vrex adjusted his uniform and prepared to deliver an ultimatum. The humans were unruly, unpredictable, a dangerous wild card in a universe that prized order and control. "Welcome to the war," he thought bitterly. "And welcome to the galaxy." For Major Talia Rios, the battle was just beginning. Earth had rewritten the rules of engagement by sheer will, turning chaos into a weapon. The swarm would adapt, but so would humanity, and neither would be the same again. The Galactic Concord's Grand Council chamber was a swirling sea of colors, shapes, and voices. An alien mosaic of 70 species gathered in uneasy alliance. From towering centaur-like diplomats to shimmering energy beings, they all watched, the holographic projection of Earth's orbital battle, replaying the chaotic dance of metal and fire. Vrex, the diplomat assigned to Earth, stood at the edge of the chamber, his many eyes flickering with concern. This species, he whispered to a fellow delegate, refuses to conform. Their style, uncouth, brutal, threatens the balance of our war effort. A chorus of murmurs echoed through the hall. For decades, the Concord had fought a war of precision and honor. Their fleets moved in elegant formations, their commanders followed strict protocols, and battles were choreographed with disciplined artistry. Humanity's unpredictable ferocity was an unknown variable, and that scared them. Meanwhile, on Earth, Major Talia Rios sat before a bank of communication consoles, her sharp gaze fixed on incoming messages from the Conquered. An emissary was en route. A mandate had arrived. Earth was to join the war. Resistance was futile. She leaned back, rubbing tired eyes. The idea of submitting to alien command was bitter, but the alternative was annihilation. They had survived. The first wave by sheer stubbornness and luck. Now the galaxy expected more. Days later, the Concord envoy ship entered Earth's atmosphere, descending slowly to a military base deep in the Rocky Mountains. Ambassador Vrex stepped onto the tarmac, flanked by armored guards and technicians. His expression was unreadable as he took in the rough-hewn soldiers and scorched landscapes that marked humanity's front lines. Major Talia Rios, Vrex said, voice smooth but cold. The Conquered welcomes your species to the Galactic Coalition. Your unique methods have intrigued us but also raised concerns. Talia's eyes narrowed. Concerns? You mean we don't play by your rules? Correct. Your disregard for protocol and your penchant for improvisation disrupt coordinated strategies, Vrex replied. Yet your results speak for themselves. The uneasy truce was sealed. Talia was tasked with leading a human strike team integrated into the Concord fleet, a test as much as a token gesture. Human soldiers boarded sleek alien vessels, their gear primitive but their resolve fierce. Their first mission was a joint assault on a Ziraki-controlled mining colony on the edge of known space. Concord commanders expected a routine operation, a demonstration of Earth's compliance. What they did not expect was Talia's team throwing out the manual the moment the battle began. When the fleet's formation faltered under unexpected Ziraki reinforcements, Talia ordered her unit to abandon the planned attack vector. Instead, they split into small squads, striking deep into enemy tunnels, sabotaging vital infrastructure. Alien commanders watched in disbelief as humans fought with a reckless tenacity, using unorthodox weapons and tactics that confused both friend and foe. During the heat of battle, Talia's second-in-command, Sergeant Malik, radioed frantic updates. We've rigged the ore refinery to blow. Ziraki won't have a foothold here by dawn. The explosion rocked the colony's surface, collapsing tunnels and cutting off reinforcements. The Concord fleet, inspired by the chaos, pressed the attack and reclaimed the colony. Back on the flagship, Vrex watched the battle report with a mixture of awe and dread. They are effective, he admitted, but their unpredictability will either be our greatest weapon or our undoing. Talia's success earned grudging respect, but also sharp criticism from alien officers who viewed humans as undisciplined and reckless. Rumors swirled that some wanted Earth quarantined, or worse, expelled from the coalition, yet the Ziraki had noticed too. Intercepted transmissions revealed the swarm's new focus on humanity, adapting their own hive tactics to counter human unpredictability. They were learning. Talia studied the intel in silence. They think they can beat us by becoming like us, she said quietly. They don't understand. Being human isn't about tactics, it's about chaos, adaptation, surviving when the odds are stacked against you. The war had grown larger than any species imagined, and Earth's arrival had changed everything. Whether the galaxy would embrace or reject humanity, one thing was clear. Humans were no longer a footnote. They were a force reshaping the war's destiny, and Major Talia Rios was ready to lead the charge. The Galactic Concord's war room was a monument to order. Walls of shimmering displays, strategic maps glowing with star systems, and rows of alien commanders in pristine uniforms. Protocol dictated every move, no surprises, no deviations. Yet today was different. Major Talia Rios stood at the center, surrounded by a tense crowd of generals and diplomats. Her human team had proposed a radical shift in strategy: guerrilla warfare, misinformation campaigns, and sabotage tactics, long considered dishonorable or reckless by Concord standards. Now those tactics were on the table. "Your Highnesses," Rios began, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "Our traditional battles are predictable. The Ziraki anticipate our formations, our strikes, even our responses. They adapt faster than we do because we cling to rules written for a different war." A murmur rippled through the assembly. Some commanders bristled. Others exchanged doubtful glances. General Kale of the Vraxin species, his forearms crossed rigidly, stepped forward. "Major Rios, your tactics may win battles, but at what cost? Chaos breeds disorder, and disorder invites defeat." Talia's eyes flashed. "I'm not advocating chaos without control. I'm saying we fight smarter, not cleaner. Sabotage enemy supply lines, spread misinformation, strike when and where they least expect. Hit their morale. That's how humans survive. Wars." The room fell silent. On the holographic table, a map pulsed with the contested systems. Red icons marked Ziraki strongholds, green those held by the Concord. The war had stalled. Conventional strategies had reached a deadlock. Colonel Jilra of the Earth species, known for her pragmatism, nodded slowly. "I've seen the humans in action. Their guerrilla raids behind enemy lines have crippled Ziraki outposts more effectively than our fleets ever could. Perhaps it's time we reconsider." With her tentative support, others began to shift. The war had dragged on for cycles, draining resources and morale. Something had to change. But the change was not without resistance. In the corridors, whispers of dissent grew louder. Traditionalists branded the humans reckless brutes, accusing them of endangering the alliance. Some viewed this as a cultural clash, the humans' barbarism threatening centuries of military honor. Talia ignored the snide remarks. She focused on her team's latest mission, a sabotage operation on a Ziraki supply hub nestled deep within an asteroid belt. Under cover of darkness, human operatives slipped through asteroid tunnels, evading patrols and electronic sensors. They placed charges on fuel reserves, twisted supply lines, and hacked comm arrays to broadcast false orders. As the first explosions rocked the asteroid, Ziraki forces scrambled, their communications in disarray. The confusion allowed a Concord fleet to launch a surprise attack, capturing the supply hub with minimal losses. Back aboard the Concord flagship, Vrex watched the operation's success unfold, a grudging respect growing in his eyes. "They shatter our rules," he murmured, "but they win." Yet the Ziraki were not idle observers. Reports poured in of enemy countermeasures, sabotage of their own supply chains, ambushes, and an eerie development: captured Concord ships being used to attack their own fleets. One intercepted transmission chilled the alliance. The swarm adapts. They mimic human tactics. Talia's team analyzed the data in stunned silence. The Ziraki, once a predictable force of overwhelming numbers and hive logic, were evolving. They had begun employing deception, feints, and psychological warfare, tactics humans pioneered. "We've made this war personal," Talia said grimly. "The enemy is learning from us. They think they can fight fire with fire." In the shadowed corridors of the Concord's command, a new kind of war began, one not just of weapons and ships, but of ideology and adaptability. Humanity's chaotic spirit had shattered ancient doctrines, forcing the galaxy to confront uncomfortable truths. Victory would demand not only firepower, but the courage to rewrite the rules, a war not just against the Ziraki, but against tradition itself. Talia knew the path ahead was dangerous, but she had no intention of turning back. The Ziraki hive fleets had always been terrifying in their unity, a relentless swarm driven by a shared consciousness, each drone a mere extension of the whole. Until now, their tactics had been blunt and predictable: overwhelm, consume, and advance without hesitation. But that was changing. Major Talia Rios and her team sat in a dimly lit briefing room aboard the Concord flagship, faces illuminated by flickering holograms showing enemy movements. The newest intelligence was unsettling. The Siraki were no longer following patterns. "They're using feints," said Lieutenant Suresh, a human cyber ops specialist, his fingers flying over a console. "Fake retreats, false communications. They're trying to confuse us." Talia frowned. "Deception isn't new to war, but this is something else." Suddenly the room's holomap shifted. A cluster of drones appeared behind Allied lines, then vanished, only to reappear miles away, striking with brutal precision. "We thought the Ziraki were a mindless swarm," Suresh continued, voice tense. "But they're learning, evolving. They're adapting our own tactics back at us." "How?" Talia asked. The answer came from an intercepted transmission decrypted just moments before. A chilling revelation. "They're using neural data," Suresh said quietly, "from our fallen soldiers. They extract memories, strategies, and incorporate them into their hive mind." A heavy silence fell. "Let me get this straight," muttered Rex, the alien diplomat, leaning forward with concern. "The enemy is becoming human?" "In a way," Talia said. "They're learning to think like us, to anticipate us." The implications were staggering. The war was no longer a battle of brute force. It was a psychological war, a deadly chess game where both sides mirrored each other's moves. Talia's team scrambled to respond. They increased encryption, scrambled neural signatures, and introduced false data to confuse the hive's mind. But the Ziraki adapted rapidly, twisting deception into another weapon. A message crackled over the comm. "Major, we've lost contact with the forward outpost on Ganymede," reported Sergeant Malik, voice urgent. They were overwhelmed, but the attackers used conquered ships. "Imposters," Talia said grimly. "They've captured and reprogrammed our vessels." The thought sent a chill through the room. The war was turning inside out, friend and foe indistinguishable, trust becoming a dangerous gamble. In the weeks that followed, the Ziraki launched a series of ambushes. Using stolen-conquered tactics, entire fleets found themselves under fire from their own ships. Panic spread through the alliance. At a war council, voices rose in accusation and fear. Traditional commanders called for a return to strict discipline, tighter control. But Talia argued for flexibility. "If we cling to old rules, we'll lose," she said fiercely. "We must become unpredictable, more than they expect." The battle for mental dominance intensified. Human soldiers trained to mask their neural signatures, while cyberops teams crafted chaotic signal patterns designed to scramble the hives. AI Talia personally led a daring raid on a captured drone processing facility, a place where fallen human minds were harvested. The mission was brutal, close-quarters combat through corridors slick with alien tech. At the heart of the facility, Talia planted an experimental device, a neural disruptor meant to sever the hive's connection to stolen data. As alarms blared and reinforcements closed in, she held the line, refusing to retreat until the device activated. The facility convulsed with power surges as the disruptor pulsed, severing the hive's grip. Back aboard the flagship, data flooded in. The Ziraki swarm faltered, drones pausing mid-attack, confusion rippling through their ranks. Talia allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. "We hit their mind," she said to her team. "But this war isn't just about machines or soldiers. It's about who can adapt faster, who can outthink the other." The war had morphed into a battle of intellect and identity. The Ziraki were no longer mere enemies. They were reflections, dangerous, relentless mirrors of humanity itself. And Major Talia Rios knew one thing for certain. To win, humans would have to embrace the chaos within themselves, or be consumed by it. The Galactic conquered, once a symbol of unity and shared purpose, was fracturing. The arrival of humanity had shifted the war's course. But not everyone welcomed the change. Inside the Grand Council chamber, voices rose in bitter debate. Representatives, from ancient species, their faces carved by centuries of tradition, accused humans of recklessness and insubordination. Your species endangers the entire coalition, snarled High Commander Vasharak, his reptilian features twisted with disdain. Their chaos has turned coordinated campaigns into disorganized skirmishes. They threaten to unravel our efforts. Your order is suffocating us, countered Vrex, the diplomat who had grown to respect the humans' tenacity. Without their tactics, we would have lost entire systems to the Ziraki. At the heart of the dispute was Earth itself. Protests flared on multiple Concord worlds, fueled by fear and prejudice. Many demanded Earth's exile, or at least strict quarantine, from strategic operations. Major Talia Rios listened to the news from her ship's communications console, her jaw tight. The political battles mirrored the war's violence, no less deadly, no less urgent. Politics will not save us, she told Sergeant Malik. The Ziraki won't wait for us to settle our disputes. Her instincts proved right when an intelligence report flashed across her screen. The Ziraki were preparing a massive assault exploiting Concord disarray. Multiple fleets are converging on the Callan system, Malik said grimly. It's a trap. Without waiting for approval, Talia gathered her human strike team. We're going in, she ordered. We can't sit back and watch the coalition crumble. Her decision was a breach of protocol, but necessity demanded it. The human fleet slipped through the Callan system's asteroid belts, sensors alert for ambushes. The Ziraki lay in wait, their numbers overwhelming. As battle erupted, Talia's ships darted between enemy fire, hitting supply ships and command vessels with surgical strikes. Their guerrilla tactics sowed chaos, disrupting the Ziraki's coordinated assault. Yet the price was high. Several human vessels were lost, their crews sacrificed to buy time for the Concord fleets to regroup. When the battle ended, the Ziraki retreated, but so did many conquered commanders, shaken by the surprise and unwilling to acknowledge the humans' vital role. Rumors swirled that some within the Concord leadership blamed the humans for the near disaster, accusing them of provoking the assault by acting without orders. Talia's defiance had saved the system, but deepened political fractures. Earth's position in the coalition grew precarious. Then came the unexpected. A rogue human fleet, operating outside, conquered command and motivated by a fierce independence born of Earth's fragmented nations, intervened in the final moments of the battle. Their uncoordinated but devastating assault turned the tide. The fleet's leader, Captain Arlen Zhao, broadcast a blunt message across conquered channels. We fight for humanity first. The rest can follow or fall. Some hailed Zhao as a hero, a symbol of human resolve. Others saw him as a dangerous wildcard, a rebel undermining fragile alliances. The Concord's council was thrown into turmoil. Debates raged over whether to sanction Zhao's fleet or to strip Earth of its seat in the coalition altogether. Vrex found himself torn. Humanity's strength lies in its unpredictability, he argued quietly, but that same strength can tear apart the coalition from within. As protests and sabotage erupted across conquered worlds, Talia confronted the painful truth. Earth's greatest enemy might no longer be the Ziraki, but the very allies it fought alongside. In the shadows, the Ziraki prepared for their next move, watching the alliance crumble and waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. For Major Talia Rios, the war was no longer just about survival. It was about forging a new path, one where humanity could stand as equals, not outcasts. But to do that, she would have to navigate treacherous political currents, rivalries, and betrayals, and hope that her people's chaos could become a bridge, not a wedge. The cold corridors of the Concord flagship were unusually silent. Talia Rios stood alone, staring at the vast starfield outside the observation deck. The galaxy felt fractured, its unity shattered not by the Ziraki, but by distrust and fear within the coalition. The political tensions had boiled over. Human fleets once reluctantly accepted were now seen as a liability. Captain Arlen Zhao's rogue actions had splintered opinion, forcing many conquered worlds to question humanity's place in the war. Talia clenched her fists. The Ziraki grew stronger every day, adapting, learning. Yet their greatest threat was no longer just the alien enemy. It was the fractured alliance meant to oppose them. A sharp beep broke her thoughts. The comms lit up with an urgent transmission from Vrex. Major Rios, the Council demands your presence. They intend to discuss Earth's future in the Coalition, whether to strip your species of command privileges. Talia's jaw tightened. She knew what was coming. A trial disguised as diplomacy, a decision made by fear and prejudice. In the Council chamber, representatives filled the seats, their faces grim. High Commander Vacherak was there, flanked by others who saw humanity as a threat. Vrex spoke first. Major Rios, the Coalition faces difficult decisions. Your species' unpredictability has been both an asset and a danger. The question is, can humanity be trusted to lead, or are they a destabilizing force that must be contained? Talia rose, eyes blazing. We have bled, fought, and sacrificed alongside you. When your fleets faltered, humans stood firm. We saved systems you abandoned. To cast us out now would be to betray all we've fought for. Murmurs swept the room. Some nodded in agreement, others shook their heads. Vacherak's voice cut through the tension. Sacrifices made recklessly risk more than lives. They risk entire campaigns. Captain Zhao's insubordination nearly cost us Callan. Disorder breeds failure. I fight for my people, and this galaxy's survival, Talia shot back. If the price of peace is submission to rigid rules that no longer apply, then we will fight on our terms. The Council's patience wore thin. A vote was called to limit humanity's role in military decisions, effectively sidelining Earth from leadership. The result was a narrow but decisive majority. Anger and disbelief flashed across human delegates' faces. Talia felt the weight of the verdict like a physical blow. As she left the chamber, Vrex approached quietly. This fracture weakens us all, he said. If we don't find common ground, the Ziraki will exploit it. Talia nodded grimly. Then we need a new plan. Back on the flagship, she convened her closest officers. The Coalition is breaking. We can't rely on their unity anymore. Sergeant Malik frowned. You're talking about going rogue? Not rogue, Talia corrected. Independent, we keep fighting, but on our terms. We'll use what we've learned from the Ziraki, adaptability, unpredictability, and forge a new path. The decision was heavy, but necessary. Humanity had no choice but to become a force apart, a guerrilla flame flickering in the vast dark. Days later, Talia's team launched a covert strike on a critical Ziraki communication hub deep in contested space. The mission was risky. Failure meant isolation, even extinction. As they infiltrated the sprawling alien complex, traps triggered and alarms blared. But the humans moved with practiced chaos, improvising, adapting, pushing through. At the heart of the facility, Talia planted a virus designed to scramble Ziraki neural networks, severing their link to stolen human memories. The countdown began. Moments stretched taut as the virus deployed. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoed. A hive drone swarm surged toward their position. Outnumbered, they fought desperately, buying seconds as the virus spread. With a final desperate push, Talia's team escaped, the facility erupting behind them. Back in space, Concord ships intercepted their transmission. No official sanction, no support, but the virus worked. Ziraki fleets faltered, their coordinated attacks unraveling. Confusion reigned, yet the cost was clear. Humanity had crossed a line. Without the Coalition's blessing, Earth was a rogue faction in a galaxy at war. And as the Ziraki adapted once more, Talia understood this war was no longer about survival alone. It was about identity. Who would define humanity's place in the galaxy? Allies or enemies? Order or chaos? Major Talia Rios stared out at the stars, knowing the battle for the future was just beginning. The quiet hum of the Concord flagship's engine was a stark contrast to the turmoil inside Major Talia Rios's mind. She paced the length of her quarters, replaying the Council's verdict, the rogue missions, and the fractured alliance. But what haunted her most was a file she'd uncovered days earlier, buried deep in the Concord archives, a secret long hidden from humanity. She activated the holo recording, and the ghostly image of an ancient human explorer flickered to life. Year 2147, Earth Standard Calendar. The recording began. Captain Elias Rios, lead of the first interstellar expedition beyond the Sol system. Talia recognized the name immediately. Her great-grandfather, a pioneer who vanished on a mission decades ago. The recording showed a message sent just before his ship disappeared. "We have encountered a species unlike any recorded," Captain Elias said, voice calm but grave. "Their technology is beyond comprehension. They call themselves the Ziraki. This is a warning. They are not a swarm of mindless drones. They possess intellect, culture, and a will to conquer. We may be the first to face this threat." The transmission ended abruptly. Talia's breath caught. The war had roots far older than anyone had known. She summoned Sergeant Malik and Lieutenant Suresh. "This changes everything. Our fight with the Ziraki isn't new. It's been going on for generations, hidden from us." Suresh frowned. "Why keep it a secret?" "Fear," Talia answered. "Fear that knowledge would destabilize fragile alliances or ignite panic on Earth. But now we understand why the Ziraki adapt so fast. They've been fighting us, studying us, for decades." Malik leaned forward, eyes grim. "It means the Ziraki's tactics aren't just reactive. They're learned, refined over time." Talia nodded. "And it means the war isn't just about survival. It's about legacy, about breaking cycles that have trapped humanity." The discovery sparked a new urgency. Talia proposed a daring plan: to seek out the lost expedition's last known coordinates, deep within uncharted space. If Captain Elias's ship had been destroyed or captured, there might be technology or knowledge to shift the war's balance. The Concord leadership, fractured but desperate, reluctantly approved a joint human-conquered team. Rex volunteered to accompany them, a bridge between past and present. As their sleek vessel plunged into the black unknown, Talia felt the weight of history pressing down. This mission was more than a rescue or reconnaissance. It was a quest to reclaim humanity's place in the galaxy. The journey was perilous. Navigating uncharted nebulae and gravitational anomalies, the crew relied on Talia's leadership and Suresh's cyber navigation. Weeks later, their sensors detected a faint distress beacon buried beneath layers of cosmic dust. The ship's exterior was battered, scarred by time and battle, but unmistakably human. Inside, the crew found a trove of data crystals and damaged logs. Among them, a chilling message from Captain Elias. "Our greatest mistake was underestimating the Ziraki's will. They are not conquerors born. They are survivors, molded by a relentless drive to evolve. To defeat them, we must become something new, not just warriors, but something greater." Talia stared at the message, feeling a kinship that spanned generations. "We've been fighting blind," she said softly. "It's time to fight with purpose, to become the future, not just a footnote." Back aboard the flagship, the data crystals revealed forgotten technologies, energy weapons, stealth systems, and neural shields designed to protect soldiers from hive mind interference. Talia shared the findings with Rex and her team. "This technology could turn the tide," Rex said, awe mingled with hope. "But it also demands we rethink everything, our strategies, our alliances." The revelation ignited a spark of unity amid the coalition's fractures. The past had become a catalyst for change, yet the Ziraki had not remained idle. Their swarm shifted, darker and more unpredictable than ever. As the fleet prepared to deploy the recovered technology, Talia knew the coming battle would not only decide the fate of worlds but the destiny of humanity itself. The cold void outside the Concord flagship was filled with the silhouettes of ships, human, Vraxan, Yurth, and others, united by a fragile hope. The recovered technology from Captain Elias Rios's lost expedition had been integrated, transforming their weapons, defenses, and neural shields. But the true test was still to come. Major Talia Rios stood on the command bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic star map that pulsed with red markers. Ziraki fleets massing near the Helios expanse, a critical sector guarding the path to Concord space. "This is it," she said, voice steady but charged with resolve. "We strike here. or the Zeraki break through and consume everything we've fought for. The coalition's leaders were gathered, their faces a mix of apprehension and determination. The political fractures remained, but the discovery of the ancient technology had rekindled a sense of unity, however tenuous. Vrex approached Talia. His usually stoic expression softened. This battle will define us, not just as warriors, but as allies. The galaxy watches. Talia nodded. And we'll show them what it means to fight for survival, and for hope. The fleet slipped into the Helios expanse, navigating the nebulae and asteroid fields with new stealth capabilities. The Zeraki swarm awaited, a churning mass of biomechanical terror, their numbers vast and relentless. As the battle erupted, everything changed. Conventional fleets engaged the swarm head-on, but it was the human strike teams, shielded by neural dampeners, that made the difference. They moved with precision, striking deep into the hive's neural cores, severing control links that had once seemed invincible. Talia led the assault on the flagship cluster, massive Zeraki bioships pulsating with alien energy. Her ship weaved through deadly barrages, deploying new energy weapons that burned through the swarm's thick armor. The Zeraki retaliated with ferocity, adapting quickly to every move. But now, humanity's unpredictability was a weapon honed by centuries of conflict and desperation. As neural disruptors pulsed through the enemy ranks, the swarm faltered. The hive mind splintered, drones confused, some turning on one another. In the thick of battle, Talia's communications crackled. "Major, this is Captain Zhao," came the voice she hadn't heard since his rogue fleet's defiance. "I'm with you. Time to finish this." His fleet emerged from a hidden jump point, striking the Zeraki rear with overwhelming force. A calculated chaos that shattered the enemy's formation. Victory was hard won. Ships on both sides fell, and the void was littered with debris and echoes of war. But when the last drone dissolved into cosmic dust, a stunned silence fell over the coalition fleet. For the first time in generations, the Zeraki threat had been broken. In the aftermath, the Council convened once more, this time united. High Commander Vacherak stood, nodding respectfully to Talia. "Your people's courage and tenacity have saved the galaxy. The chaos we feared has become the order we needed." Vrex smiled, a rare warmth in his eyes. Humanity did not just fight the war. They rewrote it. Talia looked out at the stars, knowing this victory was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast and peace was fragile, but one truth was clear. Humans had forged their destiny not by following ancient rules, but by breaking them, adapting, evolving, surviving. As the fleets dispersed, Earth's flag flew among the stars, a symbol of hope and defiance. Major Talia Rios whispered to herself, "This is our story, a fire of chaos, of hope, and it's only just begun."